Hey, what's up, everyone? This is me, Dre. Just coming up with another video. And because of what's happened last week in Isla Vista, California, and the mass shootings there, there's always a talk, especially when it comes to mass shootings, about gun control. And this is a very touchy subject. Me personally, I'm no expert on firearms. I don't own any guns. I don't believe in having guns in my home. I can admire guns, and as a gamer, I really have an affinity for sniper rifles, but I would never own a gun personally in my home. And with my martial arts background, I believe that if I have to defend myself, I'm proficient enough to do so. Now, me, it's not like the movies where you might see someone try to catch a bullet with his teeth or something crazy like that. I mean, I'm a bad brother, but not that bad. But at the same time, for someone to break into my home with any awareness that someone is trying to enter, I have my own means of defending myself. Not to say that they'll be unsuccessful, but at least if I'm going to defend myself, I'm going to do so without the use of a firearm. But that's just my way of thinking. With this, because it is a very touchy subject, a lot of people may agree with me, a lot of people may disagree. And one of the things that I noticed, especially because of what happened last week, one of the victim's parents had a press conference, and he's been getting a bit of media attention because of the loss of his son. And it's very heartfelt, and I can understand his anger, but at the same time, blaming the government for lack of gun control, the main thing to keep in mind is when it comes to guns, you have a legal means of obtaining a gun, and then you have an illegal means. There's nothing the government can do to stop the flow of firearms that go through the streets, because the more you try to place any type of embargo or any type of law against legal purchases of firearms, there's always going to be that black market or illegal means in order to get a firearm, which is how you see a lot of crimes happening. Whereas when it's involving gangs and things like that, these are illegal means of obtaining firearms through other channels. So that's the most difficult thing. And it's almost the same as the whole discussion of illegal immigrants. Living this close to the border, I can easily tell you that Mexicans are always going to find a way to enter into the country. And the more resources the United States tries to spend to prevent that, they're just going to find an alternate method, whether it's tunnels that are built underground, because that does happen, different ways to bring them over to the States. It's always going to be a means for Mexicans to illegally enter the country. So there's really not 100% surefire way to prevent that. And that's the same that holds true for firearms. I don't lobby against Mexicans entering the country, because living here in Texas and these southern states, it was Mexico. And this is some sort of history lesson. I don't have anything against Mexicans. I'm married into a Mexican family, so I have nothing against Mexicans at all. And that's not what this video is about. But this is, once again, about firearms and just how people always want to run and blame Obama for not stemming the flow of guns out on the streets, or making it stricter in terms of a policy for purchasing a firearm. And when it comes to Elliot Rodger, you're talking about someone that didn't have any documented mental instability. So when he went to get those firearms, there was nothing in his history, because he went through legal channels. And when they did the background check, they didn't see of any previous crimes, no reports of mental instabilities, anything like that. There is a little bit of a wait period in order to receive the gun. It's not like you just purchase over the counter and that's that. There is a process which takes time to get those guns. And he went through that. And it took time between the first purchase, the second purchase, and the third purchase of those guns. And if he hadn't done it through legal methods, then possibly he could have gone and purchased those guns illegally. So blaming the government for restricting gun use is like spitting in the wind. It doesn't serve a purpose. It's not Obama's fault, and I'm not an Obama apologist because he's a black president. I'm a black guy. If George Bush was still the president, if Mitt Romney was the president, it doesn't matter who the president is or was. The whole flow of guns and the way of purchasing guns has been a problem for a very long time. So the current administration is not going to stop it, and whoever comes into office in 2016 is not going to be able to stop it either. For as long as there are guns that are made, there's always going to be a method to obtain those guns, whether it's legal or illegal. A lot of people are not going to like this, but that is the reality. A lot of Americans feel entitled, once again, there's that word entitled, to have a certain opinion or feel like things should work a certain way, but they're out of touch with reality. Guns have been in citizens' hands since the inception of the United States, when we came over and took the land from the Native Americans, and that's how we've ruled this country. So stop blaming the National Rifle Association, because they're an organization that believes in the right to bear arms for those who carry guns. Am I afraid of guns? No, I certainly wouldn't want one pointed in my face. But at the same time, if my next door neighbor has a gun, I'm not going to have a problem with them having a gun, as long as they don't go out like a raving idiot and start brandishing and waving it in people's face. That's just the reality of it. People have a right to have guns, and you can't stop. I can, in my apartment complex, I'm pretty sure that if I went to at least 10, 15 homes, at least 2 or 3 of those people are going to have a gun, whether it was obtained legally or illegally. Someone is going to have a gun, and that's how it is for U.S. citizens. When you go to some of these parts of the area, in rural areas, people have guns, and the method in which they had that, maybe they have a gun permit, maybe they just keep it in a home. But the whole thing with crime and having firearms, just because other countries don't have firearms, don't mean that crimes are not committed and firearms are not involved. United States, they have a high report of it, but you're not going to see people in the United States running around bombing the shit out of marketplaces and things like that. So there's pros and cons, whichever way you look at it. But as far as gun controls, I certainly don't vote against it. I don't vote for it. I just know that I would not have a gun. But for those who would scream that there needs to be stricter controls on guns, the more you try to tighten that grip, there's always going to be the sand that sifts through your fingers. That's the illegal method in which people are going to get the guns. So cry about it all you want to, but guns are going to be around. And since the invention of the gun, when new technology comes out to where you get more something along the lines of a Star Trek and Star Wars with laser pistols and things like that, because that's, who knows, that's going to be right around the corner, and someone is going to find a way to reproduce those type of weapons, and it's going to be available to the mass populace. There's really no way to stop that from occurring. So that's just my take on illegal firearms. If you like, go ahead and leave comments. I certainly suggest that you do so. And if you like this video, I hope that you like, subscribe, and share. Peace.